Hi, my name is Yasene Mawji. I'm a social worker and psychotherapist at the Silm Centre for Mental Health. I've worked there now providing one-on-one therapy to young adults and adults for about a year now. I'm really enjoying my time there. And yeah, a bit about me. So I think that my main impetus for becoming a therapist is that I saw a gap in the field in that I noticed that there are many folks who are from South Asian communities, from Muslim communities, and other folks of color who are trying to access support from people who look like them, from people who sound like them, and from people who kind of get what it means to come from these communities. And I think, you know, there's been a lot of work done in terms of destigmatizing accessing therapy for a lot of folks of color, and they're now ready to find that support. And it's challenging for some folks to find those people. So I saw this gap. I myself have also experienced this gap when I've tried to look for help in the past. And so noticing this gap, I'm really trying to fill that space and to offer that space to folks who look like me, sound like me, who come from immigrant parents, who are from the South Asian community. So I think that's a big reason why I decided to get into this field. So I think that my number one passion is people's stories. So my first degree, even before I went into social work, was English literature. And I went into that field because I have a huge passion for learning people's stories, hearing people's stories. And I think that really translated into the therapy space because I'm always wanting to and trying to see things from someone else's point of view. And I feel so honored every time a client invites me in and shares their stories with me. It's definitely not something that I take for granted because I know how hard it can be to share your story with other people. But for me, I'm really passionate about learning what is life like for this person? What are the things that they've gone through, that they've experienced? And how can I learn from this person? And how can I take what I've learned from this person and apply it in the therapy space to help, you know, work on the things that they're trying to work on. So that's something I'm definitely really passionate about. Something else I would say that I'm really passionate about is the connection between body and mind. So there are a lot of clinicians in the field whom I'm trying to learn as much as I can from. And those folks are Gabor Mate and Bessel van der Kolk. And they spend a lot of time talking about how the mind is so powerful that it can sometimes work against us by hiding the things that are too painful or too overwhelming for us to consciously deal with, but that require our attention. And they also explain that the body is not quite as cunning as the mind can be. And so when we learn to be able or relearn to be able to tap into the sensations that our bodies have, we can kind of begin to uncover what it is that might be going on with us that we might be knowingly or unknowingly hiding from ourselves because it is too painful or too overwhelming. So that's something else that I'm really passionate about and really believe in, that body and mind connection. In terms of my strengths, some of the feedback that I've received from clients are that they feel like I'm extremely non-judgmental and really easy to talk to, which I'm really glad to hear that I've cultivated that space for folks. You know, I think building that rapport and trust with your therapist is so important when working on some of these really difficult things. And so I do try really hard to create that space where people feel like they can come and tell me whatever it is that they want to tell me, and know that I'm not going to judge them for that. So I've had that feedback from people. I mean, some of the other strengths that I think I have are that I'm always trying to better myself as a clinician. And by that, I mean, I'm always trying to learn about new modalities, new techniques that are evidence-based, that have proven to help people. And I love learning. And so I think that's also what makes me a strong therapist, is that I'm open to learning new techniques. I'm wanting to learn new techniques. And I'm also really open to feedback from clients. So if people tell me, you know, this is the type of way that I want to be supported, and this is the kind of care that I'm looking for, I'm really open to molding the way that I provide services to those folks, because ultimately it is them that they're coming, you know, to me for that support. So I think it's really important that I provide that support that they're looking for, and not what my version of that support is. And I think that also ties back into people's stories and kind of really learning what it is that they're looking for and what has led them to the therapy space. A session with me, I guess, would typically include a combination of talk therapy and then building strategies and tools, which I find a lot of people access the therapy space for. So it would be a combination of both of those things. The modalities that I use with clients largely depends on what their goals are, but I do often draw from modalities such as acceptance and commitment therapy, or mindfulness, or dialectical behavioral therapy. These are some therapies that I have found to be really beneficial and that are evidence-based and have been proven to help people, and come with a lot of concrete strategies that folks can then apply to their daily lives. So those are some of the modalities that I use with folks. So I would say that it's okay to feel nervous. A lot of people will come in and kind of say, you know, I don't know what to expect. This is my first time. You know, I'm sure they have so many different concerns around, will I be heard? Will I be validated? Is what I'm going through normal? So many things like that. So what I would say to folks is it's okay to be nervous. And likely what will happen is, as you continue to work on building that rapport and trust with your therapist, you will start to feel less nervous over time. Another tip I would have for people who are starting therapy is that you will likely get homework from your therapist to do in between sessions, because therapy is an active process. So I would say be prepared to be doing some of that work in between sessions in order to help meet and reach your goals. The last piece of advice or tip that I guess I would give to folks who are accessing therapy is similar to what I said earlier, in that, you know, just be really honest with your therapist about what your needs are, and what kind of support you're looking for, because the therapist is there for you. They're not there for themselves. And, you know, it can be so helpful and rewarding when you're getting the type of support that you're looking for. So, you know, I would say just tell your therapist what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you're looking for. And I think that could be beneficial for both parties. So I would say my ultimate goal largely depends on what the goals of my clients are. But I would say that across the board, some of the goals that I have for my clients are that I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel validated. I want them to feel less alone. I want them to feel empowered and more confident in themselves. So I guess those are what some of my goals are when I'm working with people. Yeah. So I would say some of my favorite things to do in my free time are spend time with my niece and nephew, who are 2 and 3 years old and are so fun and funny to be around. I would say other things I like to do in my free time are play sports and be active. So I really love playing basketball and tennis and baseball, and I love swimming. So I really enjoy movement and being active. That makes me really happy. Yeah, totally. Those are totally things that I do for my own wellness. Absolutely. Other things that I do for my own wellness include getting enough sleep, because sleep is really, really important, especially to me. I also, for my own wellness, make sure that I spend time around animals because I find that to be really healing. So I have a cat named Edgar. So I spend lots of time with him, and I also love to spend time around horses. The last thing I do for my wellness also is I'm a really big fan of the app called Calm. It's kind of like a meditation app, and one of the features of that app are sleep stories. So I like to play sleep stories sometimes before bed because it really helps kind of get me out of that cycle of thinking that you can sometimes get caught up in when you're trying to rest. So I find that to be helpful too. If you're interested to learn more about my approach, my style, my areas of expertise, I would say please check out my Psychology Today profile because there's a bit more information in there. So all you would have to do is search Yasene Mawji, and then I would show up there. Yes, I have the capacity right now to take on a few more clients. So if people are interested in booking a free consultation with me, which is usually about 20 minutes in length, I would say please send me an email. So my email address is Yasene, spelled Yasene, at silmmentalhealth.com. So please feel free to reach out, send me an email. We can book a time to chat over the phone or by video so I can learn a bit more about what kind of support you're looking for.